is not a cater roll. Trying to wade through the rain, pain, and the cold. One step after the next. You take one step after the next.
What is up, social media? It is the GSD guy, Jerry Smith, and do I have a delight tonight for you? So much knowledge is coming your way, all right? Get your pens, get your papers, get your recorders out, because more, now than ever, we're going to help some people out. The guest tonight went from bowling alley to pizza delivery, collections, college, Wawa, law school, and now lawyer, Esquire extraordinaire, Nicholas Zabala. Counselor, what is up?
What's going on, Jerry? Pleasure to be here.
Man, listen, give me the disclosure. Let's get all that business shit out of the way. Bear with us.
Give me 2 seconds. Let people know.
Absolutely.
Listen,
Absolutely.
While I am an attorney, I'm not your attorney. So anything I say here is my opinion, not legal advice. I always suggest you get your own attorney when it comes to these matters.
Boom. Got that out of the way. Man, I told you it was going to be good tonight, didn't I? You didn't expect it was going to be so professional out of the gate. He's got the Eagles on. He's out dressing me again. God damn it, Bryan. Once again. Anyway, listen, what we want to do tonight is this. We're going to drop some knowledge, and you've seen the show. You know what we're about, right?
I certainly do.
The GSD guy is about information. We want to educate. We want to motivate. We want to inspire. And you, sir, are about to do all of those. I almost said all three, but that's more than three.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So I like to get into the personal side of things, but I can't tonight because the shit you got is just too important. So we're going to, but I do want to say this, though, real quickly. Credit score at one point was in the low fives. Maybe.
Yeah.
Generously. I understand that feeling, sir. And now I got a text from you a couple weeks ago, like, yo, check this out.
Yeah.
Approaching the eights.
Yeah. But as of this afternoon, we were at 775 on 2 reports.
Man, that's so goddamn impressive. Hey,
yeah. Thank you, sir.
I think this might be the earliest jacket drop. I got to do it already because, goddamn, I mean, that is impressive, sir.
Wow.
That is impressive. Jacket drop, number 1, already on record for the earliest one. But it wasn't easy, though. It did take some time. We won't go too personal, but it didn't happen overnight.
Oh, no. It was climbing a mountain. You know, we were in the 500s 15 years ago. 600s. I'll tell you, pre-pandemic, 620.
Okay.
2 years later, up near 800.
Right. So, look, it takes time. It takes effort. But it also serves as an example, and this is the inspirational part of it. It can be done. We don't have enough time to go into Mayan. And we like I said, I mean, the knowledge that we were talking about off camera, we might have to go overtime. Yeah. This might run a little bit extra. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We got to talk to the producer. I think he's back there. Yeah. We'll see what's up. He's back there. All right. So one of your specialties, okay, if not, well, yeah, one of your specialties, when you went to law school, was crazy. So give us a little bit quick. When you were interning for a judge that specialized in keeping people in their homes. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be a little off course, actually created a program designed to keep people in their homes.
Yep. And
at the time had Director Richard Cordry from the CFPB out. I may be mispronouncing his name, but it doesn't matter because he's from the CFPB.
Sure.
Sorry. My apologies. They're
not going to sponsor the show. Don't worry about it.
Probably not, but I think they should get together with the GSD guys so we can drop some knowledge, but that's a whole nother show. But you actually interned from a judge that did this, then walked into, through hard work, after that internship, you start working for a company that specializes in either A, foreclosures or keeping people in their home. Give us a little background about, what was that like, and how did that transition happen for you?
Yeah, it was a crazy story. I worked for this judge who happened to, because of my collections background, thought that I'd be interested in doing some of the CFPB stuff. So she would let me sit in on calls because she was on the board of the CFPB. So she would let me sit on some calls, learn some of that stuff. And 2 or 3 weeks into it, she said, hey, I run this program across the hall. It's the Mortgage Foreclosure Diversion Program. And, of course, I'd never heard of this. I didn't own a home. I didn't know what it was about. But I walked over there on a Thursday afternoon, hundreds of people, dozens of banks, all in the same room trying to work things out. And she developed this program in Philadelphia that's now almost nationwide, and many states have copied the idea of that program. And from there, I met some contacts, and that led me to my first job out of law school.
Remarkable. You know what I love about this is, well, one, you brought me down to meet, to see that one press conference, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I met Mayor Nutter, who was a really super cool dude. I wish we can get him on the show. That's who we need to get on the show is former Mayor Michael Nutter. But he was a really good dresser too. But that's all right. Just to get him back on the show, he was really cool. And I think he did a lot of good things for the city of Brotherly Love. So that was really cool. But, one of the things, we were talking about the CFPB. Me personally, part of me being critical of them is I think sometimes the rules are out there for fluff, in my opinion. Like Nick said, that's his, he's not your lawyer. I am not your counselor. But in my opinion, I think some of the things they put out there just are for fluff and not designed to help. This program is not fluff. It is not fluff in any sense of the word because it's designed to keep people in their homes. And I think that's so important. And for me, it touches home a little bit more because I went through a couple things. Yep. When I was a kid, I went through it. I remember my mom saying, listen, we might be staying in a car, and she worked her ass off to stop that. I remember coming home to foreclosure notices a couple times. So, I might actually tear up a little bit. Listen, it was tough, but it hits home for me. But this program here, I actually feel like we're getting our money's worth out of our tax money because it's doing such a great job saying, hey, we've got to keep these people in their home. It's not right to get, throw families out there on the streets. But just, I know what I did. For me, it was a lot of communication. I think we've talked off camera about that. Just walk me through it because I don't want to talk too much more. I need you to help people out because if someone in GSD Nation needs help, that's great. But if GSD Nation doesn't need help, maybe they know somebody that needs help. And that's what this is about. We want to help billions and billions. We want to be the McDonald's of the credit world.
Sure.
All right. 1, 2, 3, go. Walk us through everything and have at it.
Again, the biggest theme that runs through GSD is communication, right? And that is no different when it comes to your biggest creditor for everybody. By far, their biggest creditor is the bank that they're buying the house from, right? So the first partner that I worked for at the law firm taught me a valuable lesson on day one. She said, the last thing people stop paying is their mortgage. They'll stop paying their car. They'll take their kids out of school. They'll do whatever it takes to save the family home. But in order to do that, you need to communicate with your creditors along the way. You learn the hard way that you can get to the finish line of the foreclosure process and still save it, though.
Still save it, absolutely.
Right.
And real quickly, what Nick is referencing, so when Nick was graduating, my house was in foreclosure. I didn't know what I was doing. I was going through a rough time personally and really didn't care at that point.
Right.
And then funny how things happen. All of a sudden I had to care. I was like, shit, I got to save this. And I remember calling you and I was like, hey, what does this mean? You were like, who's that for?
Yeah.
It's for me. Why didn't you call me sooner? I'm like, dude, and this is important also. I didn't call one of my best friends on the planet who is a lawyer, okay, that specializes in foreclosures. And the reason for it was very, very simple. I was embarrassed.
Of course.
I was embarrassed as all hell, but I did fight back. And, great point. But I just wanted to throw that out there. It's so important, guys. You can't be embarrassed, all right? You have to communicate. Take us back through it now, Counselor.
I would say that that's probably one of the biggest problems for most people. I mean, and we're talking about the house that you put a roof over my head through college.
That's right.
And then here we are just a few short years later, and you're losing it, and you won't even call me to ask me about it. Yeah. But like we were saying off camera, when you got the notice of the sheriff's sale at the end of the foreclosure, that was not the first time you heard about the foreclosure.
No, not at all.
So you were probably getting notices for close to a year before they actually, or 6 months probably before they started the process, a year before the process was finalized. And I'm here to tell you that you can call that bank or that mortgage servicer on notice number 1 or when you get the notice of the sheriff's sale, and most of the banks are going to work with you. They want to keep you in your home, and they will work with you to find a way to do so. A key part of that is you have to have income. Right, you have to have a way to pay the mortgage, but they will generally work with you so long as you are calling them and you're contacting them and figuring out what it is that you can do. Yeah. Now, we've talked before that there's also other things you can do if you're not in that situation, if you don't have the money to pay them. There's other options like a short sale where you can sell the house for less than the value and the bank agrees to take that value.
Right.
Or a deed in lieu of foreclosure. That'll help your credit some. Now, again, like we always say, who the hell knows how much, right?
So let's pause real quick. Let's break down. Let's define a couple of these programs, right?
Sure.
So now I know the a short sale through the credit and collections world. We used to do that for again, we won't name the bank, but a major bank.
Yeah.
And someone has a mortgage for $200,000.
Yep.
For whatever reason, they bought it at the height of a market, whatever it might be. The home is only valued at X amount of dollars. It's
Right.
not enough to pay off that mortgage. So then, but the bank will agree to it. It's called a short sale, and the bank agrees to it. And generally, when that's done, so they sell it. There's a deficit, but usually they don't collect on that deficiency balance. So would that be inaccurate? Usually,
Yeah, right. That's absolutely true. The bank will have the right. Say you sell it, you owe the bank $200. You sell it for $150. They agree to take that. Usually in that agreement, they are agreeing not to come after you for the deficiency. So that's the benefit for both sides. They're getting a majority of their money back. They're not going to later come sue you because you took advantage of this program.
right?
So that's the win there.
Okay, so a win there. Now, this deed in lieu, I'm not familiar with this at all. Please break this down for the viewers and or listeners, because this sounds like it could be another win.
Sure. Two things about the deed in lieu. First, it's very simple. That is deed in lieu of foreclosure. So the bank tells you you've missed a few payments. What can you do? You say, listen, I'm out of work. I'm having a hard time. I can't make the foreclosure payments. What else can I do? And you know what? I know that I'm never going to be able to afford this. Can I just give you the keys to the house back? And the bank will do a background check, make sure that you're not hiding income, things like that, that you're not going to get a windfall from walking away. And what they'll do is they'll decide to just take the house back. And then, then you're square. Sometimes what they'll even do to entice you into that program is offer a program called Cash for Keys, where they'll say, hey, not only will we take this back to help you avoid foreclosure, we'll give you a couple grand to help you move.
Whoa, hold on one second. I'm going 1, 2, and 3. Like, this is remarkable. Guys, if you are driving right now, I hope you're rewinding this. This is easily the best stuff. And we've had some good stuff on here. We've had some people that have really gotten stuff done. It blows my mind. And all this is from a phone call.
Yeah.
By simply calling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the thing real quick about that Cash for Keys program. Not a lot of times you can imagine the bank's going to throw that offer at you, right? But if you call them and say, hey, I'm interested in doing a deed in lieu, but I could use some help moving. I can't find a place because I don't have first, last, and security, or I can't hire movers, whatever the situation may be, then ask them for that. Don't always wait for them to be generous because they're already getting you out of the mortgage. But if you ask, some of them are going to say yes.
Remarkable. Simple, listen, I've heard, I remember in the one movie, Boiler Room, he says, world problems are solved over the telephone, right?
Yeah.
And it seems so easy, but my goodness, God damn, that's just, it blows my mind. I didn't even, I had some income. It's funny. I took advantage probably of the banks. Hopefully no one, if you worked for Wells Fargo or you work with them now, just earmuff it a little bit, okay? I was such a jackass. I could have taken so much more advantage of this situation because I was starting to make money back. I've realized what I had to do, but instead I just kept spending it. I could have taken that money and put it in the bank, but when I did I did a modification,
right? Which is the most common way to get out of the
right.
foreclosure.
So I'll walk you. Let me walk you through what I did, and then I want you to tell me a little bit more if it sounds about right.
Sure.
But now for a modification, in my opinion, so you have money, for me, I fell on tough times. I get hit with child support. You're going through a divorce, and it just rocked me.
Yep.
Right? And the mortgage was the last thing to go, but the credit cards went, and the car almost went.
Sure.
And then the mortgage went. And again, I had the money, but I was so upset, and I didn't know what to do. But I did the modification. Now, the modification for me, and please, again, correct me if I'm wrong, the benefit of the modification is they rewrote the loan.
Yeah.
They modified it, right? I couldn't believe I got the interest rate I got, right?
Right, so you're getting a lower interest rate than you had before.
Lower interest rate, no money down.
No.
How in the world that happened? I was really blown away. And this bank, so Wells Fargo, if you don't know, There's a Netflix special on it. They took a really bad rap, right? A really bad rap for some of the things they did. And I'm not condoning what they did by any stretch,
Sure.
but they worked with me. I could tell you that. So this big bad bank, and again, this isn't pro bank. It's not pro creditor, but it's just something that, needs to be said because people look at it like that. But you're telling me like they're going to give, not only will they take it back, right? They're going to, take the home. You don't have the foreclosure. Then they're going to give you money sometimes to get your life started again. Like, my goodness.
And here's the thing, you're talking about how, Wells Fargo got a bad rap for, the situation they were doing. Across the last 15 years, 20 years, all the banks have gotten a bad rap about something, right?
Well, true.
This one did, this fake accounts. This one, stole, whatever the situation is. That's the first call we get from most homeowners. They would say, oh, well, this was predatory lending and this bank came after me and took advantage of me. But you weren't saying that 12 years ago when you bought the home and they gave it. They would now pull up articles about, allegedly bad things that the banks do. And they say, well, I don't want to pay them because look at the kind of company they are. They got me too. But now 6 months later, I'm having a conversation with the same person, helping them save their house.
Right.
But if you start with the communication with, I want help, what can I do? Instead of trying to evade it, because that's not going to work. You're not going to tell me that Wells Fargo is a terrible bank, and I'm going to say, you know what, you're right, take a free house.
Yeah, they're not going to give houses away.
Exactly. So call with the right intention and be wanting to do the right thing, and they're going to help you out.
Yeah, I mean, it benefits no one, right? Because then they got to go through a sale and all that stuff. They got to probably a cleanup. Who knows what else is going to be going on?
Exactly.
So here's the deal. If you're watching this, I want you to pause it. If you're behind on your mortgage and you're watching this, hit pause, pick up your phone, and dial your mortgage company and be like, help. All right, just that simple. If you're driving in the car and you're listening to this, pause it, pick up the phone, speakers, or hands-free, of course, okay? Or pull over and call somebody, all right? We're talking about saving people's homes here, all right? Listen, you can go get another car and stuff like that, but you go into that foreclosure and they take that home, that is a rough one to come back from. And so I want to throw this out there, too, and maybe you could help us a little bit with this. Someone says, well, I'll just file bankruptcy.
Right.
Not exactly a cheap thing to do, right? When you file bankruptcy, yeah, you could save the home, and you will save the home, but it ain't free.
It's certainly not.
Right, so there's some costs attached to that, like the trustee's going to get paid.
Yeah.
You still got to make the mortgage payment.
The attorney's going to get paid first.
The attorney's going to get paid.
He's not filing that bankruptcy until he gets paid.
Right. So you're going to get that, and then once you start paying, then it's the trustee, blah, blah, blah. Right. And you're in bankruptcy, which is, I mean, I guess if there's a death blow to credit, I don't think there's anything worse than that, right? I mean, you're talking about 7 years and blah, blah, blah. I mean, look, it was tough enough having to come back. I know for me personally, coming back from something like that, I was, like you, generously in the low fives.
Sure.
Generously. For me personally, I got turned down. Are you sitting down? Vern, you might want to sit down for this one. I actually got turned down from a buy here, pay here program on a car. That's how bad it was, okay? But like Nicholas, I want you to fast forward. Now, for me, it was fast forward 3 years. And then I was able to really get it to a point after the modification, and working with your creditors. You got to, simply put, you got to bite the bullet. The banks, look, you have an agreement.
Yeah.
You have an agreement. They're not doing anything outside of that. I know a lot of people think that. Not necessarily the case, but a simple phone call can save a home, improve credit scores, and put you right back on track. If not right back on track, on the course to getting better. Yeah.
And after you talk about paying bills, can I add something else to your listeners about paying bills?
Please.
Please, go right ahead.
Well, I would say this. If we got to pay the bills at the GSD company, it's a commercial thing. You got to do all these things, but I'm so excited about this one because this one's really cool. So I'm going to pay the bills right now with one of the coolest ones we've done yet. This is Shoot Cameras, Not Guns, CMP. We're talking about an unbelievable program designed to help kids. That's maybe my favorite bill pay just yet. Unbelievable program. Shoot cameras, not guns, CMP. Look that up. We're going to help some people out there. It's not just about credit and collections and inspiration. We're talking about keeping kids safe, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, helping people all over the spectrum.
People helping people. That's it.
That's it.
All right. I paid the bills.
So, quick personal story. I know we said we may not get to this, but quick personal story. Always call your creditors and look for other creditors. One time when I was way down there in the fives, my car blew up. Engine blew. That was it. I needed a car. Went to the lot. They were like, sure, no problem. Sign here. Here's the keys. 14% interest rate on this car. They were like, but look, we know it's crazy, but wait 6 months, call the bank, see what they can do. I got it through Capital One. I waited 6 months. I shopped around, went to my credit union, got 3%, lowered my payment by $100 a month.
Incredible.
So, and it's because I called and asked. I didn't just say, oh, well, I'm stuck with this terrible interest rate. I called around, see who had what to offer, and they said, look, you've made 6 good payments in a row. We trust you. Here's a much better interest payment, and made my life a lot easier.
They feel a little bit better with the responsibility. You show positive responsibility. Look, it's not an easy thing, right? I mean, there's nothing easy about it. Heck, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that the good old saying? So, communication, number one. Reach out, touch somebody.
So,
I think that's going to be one of the next things. We got to look up that. Brian, we got to look that up and see if that's actually trademarked or not still. I think that's an old school one, but I think we can get that.
might be
We're trying to help people. Yeah. I mean, we got a lawyer. I mean, jeez. All right, very good. Let me ask you this question here. From the personal perspective, we covered the programs there, which I think is so important. I hope everybody wrote that stuff down. But from the personal side of it, when did it start for you? When were you like, oh, shit, man, like I really got to get my act together here? What catapulted you into that? Was it while you were in collections? Was it in college when you're like, shit, man? Because correct me if I'm wrong, like you can talk about it from a personal side where some people don't realize you don't pay your bills. There's impact in the working world.
Sure.
Hey, I want to get this job. Yo, I'm so jazzed up. Wait, what? You running a credit check? Yeah. So if you don't mind sharing that, because I think this is a great story. And again, everything happens for a reason, and it led you down where you're at now, which is obviously a remarkable journey. But tell us what happened there, because not everybody realizes. They think, oh, it's bad credit, I'll pay extra interest. No, you might not get that job you're looking for out of college and now all the student loans are backing up. So
or you might lose that job.
You might, yeah. So what happened there?
So to answer your first question, I started learning about credit when I started working for you. So I was about 20, and we started doing collections, and that started to teach me the importance of it. But it wasn't until a few years later that I could actually do something about it. Not your fault, but I wasn't getting paid a whole lot there. So
that's because we were giving it all to Brian. Probably.
Exactly right.
I apologize for Brian.
Between Brian and Rock, there was nothing left for everybody else.
That's true. They cleaned the coffers, as they say.
So
Rock just woke up.
So I was doing the best I could at that point, but living paycheck to paycheck, going to school full time. So, and I was not a great collector, as your partner will tell you.
I was going to leave that out, man. You brought that on yourself right there, but you are an excellent attorney.
Listen, I hit goal one time, and it's because I happened to be there a few minutes late, and you fed me an account that called in.
Oh,
so
it helped out. Yeah. Listening to this shit. I'm going to get a bill from Dick now. Jesus Christ.
So,
oh, man.
But so bottom line was I had the right intentions, not the right means. Okay, so I wanted to pay all my bills on time. I just couldn't. So when I had my $175 First Premier Bank card, that frequently got overdrawn and penalties and fees. So then you're constantly digging out of that circle. Later on, I started paying attention to it. When I was in college, I was trying to do the right thing. Out of college, I get a job with the government. I'm working there for a year. 10 months in, they come to me and say, hey, Nick, we pulled your credit and you have all these things, these old cards. And truth be told, it was probably like only $5,000. And they came to me and said, look, you need to get this fixed or you're not going to be able to maintain your security clearance and you're not going to be able to work here. I said, no problem. I went, fixed it all, and sent them all the receipts. Paperwork got lost somewhere. Somebody didn't know that. They came to my desk one day and said, Nick, grab everything you have here and leave your ID on the desk. So they just walked me out the door.
No write-up.
No write-up, no nothing. Just
no paper trail.
This is it. We told you 2 months ago, and that was it. I said, but I opened my top drawer because I knew this might happen. I said, hey, here's all the paperwork. And they said, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. This came from Washington, and that's it. So, long story short, I wound up having a hearing. They said, oh, you were right. Something got messed up. Unfortunately, your job has already been filled. But here's your security clearance.
Yeah.
So now here I am in a job that I thought was going to be a career job. And people start working for the government. They work there their whole life, But, that's actually losing that job is what sent me back to law school. It gave me the idea that said, look, okay, that didn't work out. Now we need to pivot. And, that became that.
Boom. Well, look, that's where we're at. And I'm going to do it. This is another one. That's a new record. But,
it's gotta be a record.
Again, think about this now. We're talking about keeping people in their home. You get out of college. I mean, look, there's mountains of debt anyway, right? We've had other guests on the show talk about you come out of the bookstore and they're waiting for you like vultures.
Yeah.
There's no education that goes along with that. Our goal is to get to them before that happens. We want to get to the students and say, listen, let's help you out. You're going to go to college, or you're going to go to a trade school. You might go somewhere. I got to move. Vern's yelling at me again. I'm so sorry. I get fired up, and I get passionate about this. We're trying to help some people out. But, had you known that, I mean, who knows what's happened. But listen, what we want to do, and that's part of it, and that's why it was so important. I wanted you and needed you on this show to go over that stuff because we could. I think we could save lives. I'm not saying that we're doctors or anything like that.
Technically.
Well, technically, yeah. I mean, I know we damn sure ain't paid like I ain't paid like a doctor anyway. But to help these people out, help the kids out, and get them out of that because you come out of school, you're going to have these loans, right?
Of course.
You went to school, you had the loans, you have the credit card debt because you don't know any better, and you got to know how to pay that off. And then, God forbid, to your point, you come out, things are backed up, you're trying to get a job, you get the dream job, and they cut you out.
Yeah. And look, life doesn't always go the way you think it is, right? I would say that I'm in the top 10% of earners in the country. However, I can't buy a house because I have $260,000 in student loan debt. So when they look at my debt to income, they're like, you're poor. And I'm like, but I'm not. Like, look at my paycheck. And
we're going down another road on that now. But listen, I mean, that's a whole nother. I don't know how much more time we have here, but that would be, I mean.
But it's about being responsible, right? Like, I know that I have that. I knew I was taking that investment when I went to school. But now it's just about not living outside of my means now, keeping that credit score growing. And then when I do eventually get to go buy a house, I'm going to have a great credit score. I'm going to get a low interest rate, and it's going to be more affordable than it would have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, and look, you learned your lesson, and now what you're going to be able to do is provide that lesson, right? You've taken over and become a father.
Yeah.
In a remarkable situation, and one that I can't talk about because then I will start crying. So I'm not going to do that. I refuse to cry on set. It's not going to happen. But you can now pass that. I'm not going to cry on set. Don't stop. Just stop it. But you now have that knowledge, and you are going to provide that. And you have a child in school getting ready to graduate high school.
Yep.
And going to college. Just what we were talking about. And those mistakes, hopefully, look, everyone's got to be responsible, but we can now be in a better, I know I'll be in a better position as a father to give these lessons. And I'm going to, me and my son, I know we're probably going to butt heads a little bit there, but, and we'll probably fight. And
sure.
I will win because I'm King GSD, and that's the way it goes. But you got to feel good about that, right? Knowing like, hey, I can now take this information and pass that on, short term and long term.
Absolutely, and the kid's had a good upbringing. He already wants to just go to community college to kind of limit exposure coming out of school. Is going to get the same education, that he would if he went to Temple or Drexel or anything like that, but come out of school in a much better position than I did when I came out of school. And already, turning 18 this summer.
I'm doing it again. I mean, listen, that's what it's about. That's what we're talking about. You're putting him in a better position than you were, and that's what it's all about, right? I know your dad fought hard to do that. There's no question about it. I always wanted to. adopt him as my dad all the time, constantly. One of the finest human beings, obviously, on the planet for sure.
I appreciate that.
And now, goddamn it, I'm starting to tear up, and it's all fucking Brian's fault. Sorry for cursing, but I mean, you got to feel really good about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and again, but he's someone who never taught me about credit because, you know, he was about folding money. You know, he didn't do any credit. It was all cash all the time, you know, and that's why I started out a little bit behind the eight ball, I would think, with credit, you know. But now I'm reversing that with my kid and teaching him the importance of it. And I know, like Rocket said a couple episodes ago, that his mom let him piggyback on the credit cards to get started. So this summer when he turns 18, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Exactly. Get set up with a credit card. Hey, buy gas with it, pay most of it off, buy gas with it, do that kind of thing. Build your own credit, then get your own card next time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I love the fact that, you know, we can do that and set them up and, you know, whether it's a savings account, right, putting it away, compounding interest. I'm not going to get in all that. That's not my expertise.
Yeah,
I'm not going to talk to you about that. I'm not going to talk to you about rapping because that's not my expertise. That's someone else's kind of expertise, I guess. We'll talk about that a little bit. But, Nicholas, I do want to thank you so much because I feel like this show right here, boom, can help out hopefully thousands of people, not just in the Philadelphia area, but nationwide again. And guys, listen, this show is designed to help people out. If it didn't help you, but you know someone that it will help out, please, please, please be sure to share it because this is not only going to help. We're not talking about credit scores. We're talking about houses and families here. So share it, like it. If you haven't liked it, I can't even figure out why, but make sure you like it. I hope it helped you out. Have an awesome night. The GSD guy is out. Counselor is out. EAGLES Eagles. Have a great night, y'all.
Yeah.
One step after the next is not okay to roll. Trying to wade through the rain, pain, and the cold. One step after the next. You take one step after the next.